morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We are a few minutes late this morning as we had some technical difficulties, but I would like to get going, and I can let you know that some members of council are participating virtually today. So in the council chamber, I have Councillors Glenn Bazarowicz and Councillor Sandra Strang. Attending virtually, Councillor Belanger, Councillor Horbis, Councillor Spicer, and Councillor Sutherland is to be joining us. He's going to be a few minutes late though. And also in the council chamber, I have the CAO, Deepak Joshi, and I also have our communications manager, Brett Paskrup, with us this morning. So with that, if I could have the resolution to adopt the agenda, please.
Resolve the agenda for the meeting be adopted as circulated with the noted additions. Communication for information 9.10 Lake Winnipeg Basin Symposium, 9.11 39th Annual RRBC Conference.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarowicz, second. Councillor Horbis. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, the next item we have, number 3 on our agenda, is confirmation of the minutes, and we have one set of minutes from our last regular meeting, I guess almost a month ago now. So if I could have the resolution, please.
Resolve the minutes of December 14th, 2021, regular meeting of council be adopted as presented.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, second, please. Councillor Bazarowicz. Any discussion, corrections, additions, deletions to the minutes? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. We do not have any reception of delegations today and no communications for action, so we move down to number 6 on our agenda, which is new and other business. 6.1, Interlake Eastern Health Foundation, Legacy Life. And there was a letter dated December the 15th, and I'll let Deepak go through that for us.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. What this is a letter requesting to advertise on our website as well as on our newsletter and draw attention to the Legacy for Life and the as a not-for-profit and a support agency to draw attention to people to be able to do donations. And what they're requesting is that the RM could possibly do this, and this is something that they're looking at as a way of getting their word out to the public. I need to draw to your attention is that this is a highly unusual type of a request because there are many not-for-profits in the RM, and I think the challenge would be is where do we, which ones we would look at approving, which ones, how much space would that take up on our website, our various newsletters and so forth, or is there another way of doing this? So we brought it to your attention. My recommendation is that we move forward with possibility of having the CIO investigate further if there are other options that we can work with them to help to promote their message.
Comments, questions? Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
I totally agree on getting some more information, but we already have like the Selkirk Foundation and we support that and people give to that. And the other thing is that we have lots of people that could donate to our community centers too within our area and get something in our, but like, you know, it would be good to get more information on this.
Anybody else, any comments or questions? Go ahead, Councillor Belanger.
I would concur with Councillor Strang's comments.
Okay, thank you for that. And yeah, I kind of feel the same way. We should get more information. And you know, I guess at first thought for me would be if we put a blurb in our newsletter, like a one-time thing, but we will let our administrator get more information and bring it back to our next meeting, hopefully.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. So
I'm having a hard time hearing you guys in the chamber.
Well, I apologize. I can certainly see if you can get your volume up, Councillor. What I'll do is I'll see if we can get our, we can start our microphones because they would work. if it continues that way.
Thank you.
Okay, so are you having a hard time hearing me too, Councillor Horvis? I could try putting my microphone on if that might be better.
Well, now that you spoke up, I can hear you pretty good, but before then, you guys were all kind of, it was dull, like it's, but
Okay, we'll have to remember to speak up a little bit then so everybody can hear.
I'm getting old, eh, you know?
Yeah, okay. I think
Should be used to it by now.
I think we're at 6.2 on our agenda, and that is the crosswalk in Grand Marais across Provincial Road 12. And I believe Deepak has a little bit of an explanation and a resolution for that this morning.
Yes, this is the request for a crosswalk. This is basically, Red River North Trails Association has been working on it. This is the crossing at Highway 12 or Path 12, where we funded the project for doing a proper crossing. And so what this is to look at putting in flashing lights for people when they're crossing to make it safe. Since it is a highway, we need permission to do this within the provincial jurisdiction. So we'll be seeking permission for Red River Trails Association to do this. I was informed by Dan Lester from Red River Trails Association that he would have enough funding available through his own budgets that we normally budget for the Red River Trails Association through our grants, that would be able to do both of these crosswalks. So the first one is the one on Highway 12, and the second one is the one on 212, which is Covell Road at the railroad crossing.
Okay, any comments or questions on the crosswalks? Go ahead, Councillor Horvis.
Do we have a cost for those lights and that? We're gonna have to pay for that or what? Or
Red River Trails North Association has told me that they will have enough funding within their own budget to be able to do these.
100%.
okay, thank you.
Yes.
Go ahead, Councillor Boulanger.
They weren't that costly. I can't remember the total price, but for each set, I'm going to say, oh geez, $3,000 or something. Am I correct? I'm somewhere around there.
Yes, Councillor Boulanger, it's about $3,000 a piece. And I think Mr. Lester is even able to get it a little bit cheaper this time. And so these are those specific crosswalks that are designed with lights and solar panels.
Okay, any other questions or comments on the crosswalk in Grand Marais? I believe that there are two resolutions, one for Grand Marais and one for East Selkirk. So if there are no other comments or questions, I'll ask our administrator to read the resolution for the Grand Marais one.
Whereas the community of Grand Marais and the Red River North Trails Association Inc. would like to see a crosswalk across Path 12, a declared highway under Manitoba Infrastructure Highways at the location of Grand Beach Road, a designated highway under Manitoba Infrastructure Highways, and Sunset Avenue at the north side of Grand Beach Road in the community of Grand Marais. And whereas Manitoba Infrastructure identified they would consider approval of the crosswalk provided the plans for an internal trail network the highway is created that connects Sunset Avenue south of PR 609 to both the community center and the service station / convenience store to the north of Path 12. And whereas Red River Trails Association has completed the crossing and construction of the trail that connects Sunset Avenue and south of PR 609 to both the community center and the service station / convenience store to the north of Path 12, resolved that R and St. Clements apply for approval from Manitoba Infrastructure to install rectangular rapid flashing beacons, pedestrian corridors and pedestrian crossing signals across Path 12 at the location of Grand Beach Road and Sunset Avenue, and provide signed standard indemnification form and proof of insurance liability, which we will provide.
Okay, can I have?
And further be it resolved that Council supports the Red River North Trails Association to supply and install the RRFB device at this location. Sorry, Madam Mayor.
That's okay. Any comments or questions from council members? Okay, I will ask for a mover. Councillor Bazarowicz has moved that. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Spicer has seconded that. Any other discussion?
I just think it's wonderful that they're paying the 100%, so it's not costing.
That's right, it's not costing the municipality any money, and hopefully they will have enough funds and not be coming back to us, so. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Boulanger.
Yeah, well, that comment, I mean, it's to see these types of structures in communities, even though they're small and they're, it just, instead of crossing streets haphazardly in Grand Marais, kind of willy-nilly where you want, this sort of gives cohesion now. And when you come into Grand Marais, it's small, but it's a start of seeing cohesion and actual small infrastructure starting to sort of channel people where you want them to go. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I mean, I think if I remember correctly, Selkirk has something similar to this on Manitoba Avenue, kind of just past the library. I think this is the same type of crosswalk they have there. So I think it's pretty good that there is something coming into the community. So, okay, I have a mover, I have a seconder. If there are no further questions or comments, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Okay, now the second one we have is basically the same type of crosswalk, but it's in East Selkirk here, just to the east of the post office where the trail comes along the rail bed. So I don't know if Deepak has anything further he wants to add.
Again, this is the one at Covell Road, and I'll just bring up the resolution which explains the details associated with this, and I'll just share it with everyone. So can everyone see the what I just brought up? Okay. So what we're looking at here. So what I wanted to do was also show you what these types of signals look like. This is an example of these signals that they work at the crossings, and they have a solar panel at the top and then some flashing lights, and somebody's able to push on them. They're not as, they come in many different ways, and this is an example of one of those types. So what we're looking at is another one, and again, it's at Covell and by the rail tracks, and these have been approved. The unique thing in this one is that the traffic authority is considered the arm of St. Clements. Although it is a highway, they have given us traffic authority on Covell Road, and so based on that, we can approve this in a slightly different resolution. That's why it's a separate resolution.
Okay, thank you for that. And I see Councillor Sutherland has joined us. Good morning, Councillor Sutherland.
You're muted, Councillor.
Well, there we go. Sorry, I'm a little bit late, folks.
That's okay. I was just going to let you know that we're on item 6.3 on our agendas, and the resolution is up on the screen. So it's to do with the crossing lights on Covell Road by the post office. And I think you heard Deepak's explanation. So does anybody have any questions on this resolution?
Yeah, I'm having trouble with my screen here. I can't, I don't know if you can hear me or not.
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Yeah, I can't, I don't know what I'm trying to.
It's okay. Deepak is trying something here, so just bear with us for a second.
I just sent you something. There you go.
There you are. Don't touch nothing. We can see you now.
Okay.
I can see your hand. There you go. Perfect. Okay. Now that we can see you, I'm going to ask Deepak to please read the resolution for this one if there are no questions on it.
Whereas the community of
I'm gone.
Whereas the community of East Selkirk and Red River North Trails Association would like to see a crosswalk across PR 212, a designated highway under Manitoba Infrastructure Highways, and at this location, the Arm of St. Clements is the traffic authority at the location of PR 212 at the former rail bed, municipally owned private land. Further, be it resolved that the council support a crosswalk at this location and is requesting administration to provide the information to Manitoba Infrastructure Highways and provide them with a copy of this resolution. And whereas Manitoba Infrastructure is agreeable to the installation of an enhanced crosswalk at this location, resolved that the Arm of St. Clements apply for approval from Manitoba Infrastructure to install rectangular rapid flashing beacons, or RFBs, pedestrian corridors and pedestrian crossing signals across Path 212 at the former railway bed, and provide signed standard indemnification form and proof of insurance liability. Further, be it resolved that council supports Red River North Trails Association to supply and install the RRFB device at this location.
Thank you for that. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang moves, Councillor Horvis seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, so that takes us down to number 7 on our agendas this morning, and that is the accounts and the financial statements. So the first one we have is the closed list of accounts for the period ending January the 11th, and if I could have the resolution, please.
Resolved, council approve the January 11th, 2022 list of accounts, check numbers 21002927 to 22000038 in the amount of $2,430,408.95 for payment.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarowicz, Councillor Spicer seconds. Any discussion, questions, comments on the accounts this morning? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question, but I do have a comment. And I think Deepak was looking into this. I guess the fireman's checks, like there are so many of those checks a couple of times a year. Were we going to look at perhaps doing them somehow differently, or?
Yes, we are. We've talked to the chiefs, and my understanding is that there seems to be no significant concern of just putting them on the standard direct deposit, as we are doing with others, so that we do 2 check runs a year, and there are 70-some checks that are signed on a regular basis with all the details associated with them.
Well, I guess, yeah, and I guess it's not so, I mean, it's 75, we'll just say 25 for each fire hall, but it's 2 checks because it's their wages and then it's their mileage is separate, so you're doing,
exactly,
you know, that twice a year, so that would be good. It used to be once and now it's changed to twice, which is fine, but it's the, you know, signing 70, 150 checks twice a year for the guys.
And so one of the things that we have been looking at is our entire payroll system to get better and have a system that becomes, in the long run, starts saving us time and effort, as well as to produce in a much more efficient manner, including council indemnity checks and so forth, so that you can do self-service. And with that, I'll be presenting that at the in-camera discussion a little bit, as well as we'll be having a discussion at our COW meeting, committee of the whole meeting, on how to move forward with our payroll review that was completed.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other questions or comments? I see that Councillor Sutherland, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, it's not pertaining to this, because I joined the meeting late. I just wanted to, if we could add something.
Let us get through this because there is a resolution on the floor. So once we take a vote on the resolution, then I will come to you and you can see what you want to add to the agenda. So If there are no...
I'm sorry,
That's okay. If there are no further questions on the list of accounts, go ahead, Councillor Bazarowicz.
The firefighters checks, like you said, it used to be annually, now it's biannually. Would it be any advantage to go back to annual? Like, the guys didn't mind.
I
Then
think
they had the option of getting it.
the challenge in being annually was very difficult to sort of determine what was going to be the balance outstanding for the year, especially when we're trying to do sort of predictive on our budgets. And so that was one of the challenges. The other is, I think it's beneficial to be able to manage those accounts. Unless there's a significant concern, I don't see a big problem with, if we're going into another system, to give those checks directly into it. The firefighters can decide which account they'd like those to be put into, and then it'll be just an automatic deposit.
Yeah, it'll be a deposit.
Similar to all our other staff. All our staff are on direct deposit.
And with council checks too, they're automatically deposited.
And then we would be looking for the same thing with council checks to make it just
Yeah, so.
efficient. And then, you know, there's not this, you know, the checks were late. The other challenges we get is, you know, checks get printed. If there's any issues of getting the people together, because we need 2 signatures on these checks. And to be perfectly honest, you know, there aren't very many corporations that are doing hand-signed checks anymore.
Okay, I think we've talked about this, and we've got the list of accounts. I have a mover and I have a seconder, and if there are no further questions, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. And Councillor Sutherland, you had something that you thought you may want added to the agenda, if you could go ahead.
yes, it's pertaining to Balsam Harbor. There's
Yes, that was...
kind of a situation with some
Yeah, that was brought up by Councillor Horbis, and we do have it under our in-camera already this morning.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay, we'll talk about it a little bit later. Thank you.
And also, are we going to, I think we're going to be discussing the Gull Lake a bit.
If you scroll down to your in-camera items, those are both on there.
Yeah, because I couldn't get onto anything last night. Every time I tried to go up my agenda, it was file might not found.
Oh,
So
okay.
I just gave it up.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you.
Do you have your agenda up today though?
It is, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So 7.2, we don't have the financial statement yet. I guess we're looking for the November one we did, so we're looking for the year-end one, which won't be until February probably.
Or sooner if we can.
Yeah. So now 7.3, we have grants. We have a couple of grants there, and the first one is the Manitoba Crime Stoppers, and I believe that there is some administrative comments there, and I will turn it over to Deepak, please.
This is a request from the Manitoba Crime Stoppers, and they've made a request for a grant as we have provided them in the past. And what they're requesting for is 10 cents or 25 cents per population. And the amount requested from the municipality is at 10 cents. And so with that, what we've recommended is that council can proceed with the last year's award was at $1,600. This year there was a request for 2021, and with this request, what we're recommending is to go with the 10 cents at $1,087, or if you wish, you could go to the 25 cents at $2,719.
Okay, questions, comments? Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
So just asking the question, so we still have some funds left in that budget for these types of requests?
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
Anybody else, any questions or comments on the Crime Stoppers? Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
Did we not give anything last year then in the 2020? Because it goes 2019 and then 2021?
Correct, they didn't request for 2020 due to COVID.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? I believe that there is a resolution, so Deepak, if you could please read the resolution for us.
Resolve, council approve the following 2021 requested grant, Manitoba Crime Stoppers, for $1,087.60.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarowicz, Councillor Horbis seconds, and that is the 10 cents per capita, so that works out to the 1,087. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. The second grant we have today is the Grand Beach and Area Development Corporation, and I believe that there are some administrative comments on that one too, so I'll hand it over to Deepak to go over those.
This is, the Grand Beach Area Development Corporation has defined a project which is building a walkway path extension from their current path to the welcome sign. That's the welcome sign at the Grand Marais, the GMCC, Community Central there, resulting, what they'd like to do is resurface the existing pathway through the Community Central grounds, and then the pathway has, because the pathway has for they're looking at erecting meeting and sitting area with picnic tables and welcome signs, provide benches sitting along the new pathway, and clearing and cleaning the ditches along the property at Highway 12 to improve the signs for the highway. I need to bring to your attention the reason that they're looking at doing this is that they did receive a previous approval and wasn't able to get done previously. What they are looking for is support for $3,000 and to move forward with funding with the Building Sustainable Communities. The issue, the concern that I have that I need council to be aware of, and we've had some discussions on this, the sign itself that was put up for the Grand Marais Community Center, the Welcome to Grand Marais sign, was put up in the highways right away, and it's within their control zone, and no permissions were garnered from the highways. And so, as part of this, my recommendation is that that any further work in that area first get proper approvals from the Manitoba Highways, as well as correct any outstanding issues related with signage on that location.
Questions, comments? Go ahead, Councillor Bazarowicz.
It says here, they're providing $7,000.
Correct.
They're asking us for $3,000.
And the rest will be a BCP application.
And then, yeah, this Sustainable Communities Grant.
Correct.
They're asking for 10. So what's the total of the project? I thought the total of the project was 10.
They've got a total of the project at
Maybe I missed it.
$20,000.
Okay, that makes sense. Is it our business or whatever? So where did they get the $7,000? Like, are they generating enough income to put that away?
That's from the Grand Beach Area Development Corporation itself, from their donations and money that they get. And that's separate. They don't, Grand Beach Area Development Corporation does not receive grants, so it's not a double stacking of grants from us. So this isn't a GMCC project, but it's a beautification project that's associated through the board for the Grand Beach Area Development Corporation.
Okay.
I have one kind of small question. I guess it's only $1,000, but they're talking about power trimmers and fuel and rakes and shovels and safety equipment. Where is that going to go after? Because they don't really have a home, so to speak. I mean, you know, they get together, they have their board, and they get together and they meet either, you know, maybe at the cafe or the Spirit Rock or another place, but it's not like they have their own kind of entity where they gather on a regular basis. So I know it's not a lot of money, I'm just curious as to where that stuff is gonna end up after the job is done.
Good question, Madam Mayor. We can certainly make inquiries as to, once the job is complete, where does the equipment reside and under whose control?
I would be more concerned with the whose control, like, you know, is it gonna end up in somebody's garage, or where is it gonna be? So, I see Councillor Spicer has his hand up, as does Councillor Sutherland. Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
So, quick question on our budgeting for this. So, is this coming out of the $25,000, if approved? Would this come out of the $25,000 that we set up for Grand Marais and the other 25 that we set up for Rockford, or is this out of different funding in our budget?
This would be out of a different funding in the budget, as this is from the Grand Beach Area Development Corporation. Our request was for, which includes people, which includes a membership from Grand Beach and Grand Marais, and ours is specifically related with Grand Marais. The Grand Beach Area Development Corporation will report works on their own, and they can do work in Grand Beach and Grand Marais wherever they feel is appropriate for their purposes. And ours was for the businesses in the Grand Marais community, and a bylaw needed to be created in order to identify which businesses they were and how they would function, and that still hasn't happened. So the $25,000 is still outstanding.
Okay. Well, I'm prepared to move this with the addition of they get all the required approvals that are needed
Okay, thank you.
as per the CAO's comments.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Spicer. Councillor Sutherland, you had your hand up earlier. Go ahead and give us your comments.
It's in line with what you mentioned, these these tools that they needed, some weed eaters and power saws. I didn't forget whatever it was. Like, I'm kind of curious because GMCC, which the work has been done there, Henry has, I know they have power saws and they have weed eaters and what have you. I'm just curious why you would have to duplicate that equipment if they have it there. I know it's GBADC, but this is happening at GMCC anyway, so I kind of wonder, you know, as you do.
Right. Okay, so I think Deepak was going to check that out to see what they were going to do with that. And I mean, when I look at this, and you know, it's the same, some of the same people that are belonging to both organizations, like GMCC plus GBADC, so maybe Deepak can find out a little bit more information. I have no problem giving them the money, don't get me wrong. My question was more is where is it going to end up after, much like yours is, you know, GMCC does have equipment and things like that. Could they not share, or are they just going to use the equipment now and then perhaps donate it to GMCC so they can use it whenever they need, wherever they need it for the GBADC? So.
Exactly, Debbie, but I just don't want them to duplicate, you know, whatever cleared they have to do along the highway. We do, I'm sure I know they do have a chainsaw,
right.
GMCC, so
yeah.
Would you want to duplicate that equipment?
Right.
I kind of question that.
Yeah, well, I think Deepak will check that out, but I think we can probably proceed with the resolution because we do have to have some clarification there, and I believe the way it's worded, there is some things that they have to do, and one of them is get all the proper approvals from highways, which they didn't do, and this could just kind of be another little thing that they need to do, is let us know what's going to happen with that equipment once they're finished this project.
Yeah, I'm good with going along with everything. I just,
Okay.
you know, that's right, just we'll get some answers, that's all. Thank you very much.
Perfect, thank you. Go ahead, Deepak.
Just for clarification, the challenge we had here is that the Building Sustainable Communities deadline this year is January 15th, and that's why these things are having to be rushed on. We only received the request over the Christmas break, And there's been some back and forth communications on this, as some of the other similar requests that are related with building sustainable communities. They are $3,000 with their $7,000 will be the 50% contribution, and the other 50% is still required, so it's contingent upon building sustainable communities.
Yeah.
Since it is funded majority by public funds, a total of $13,000 at minimum, there will be a request to verify where all chattel or assets are and what they will be used for afterwards.
Okay, I think everybody is good with that. And I'm sorry, I'm not sure that we read the resolution.
I haven't read the resolution.
Thank you.
Let me just reload. I think Brett was paying attention to this and doing some adjustments.
Brett was meeting.
If not, I'll make the adjustments. Okay, resolved, council approved the following 2021 requested grant budget. Start program, $3,000.
You're one ahead of yourself.
Oh, sorry, I'm at the wrong one, sorry. Area Beach Development Corporation, here we go. Resolved, council approved the following 2021 requested grant budget, Grand Beach Area Development Corporation, in the amount of $3,000 upon approval of the Building Sustainable Communities Grant, by which, as well, I would say further be resolved that the Grand Beach Area Development Corporation get permission to do the construction on highways, from Manitoba provincial highways, for the existing sign and any other construction work.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? I think Councillor Spicer said he would support that. Councillor Horbis is seconding. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, now we can go to our START program, and I think we have some administrative comments on that one also.
Okay, for the START program, the uniqueness on this one was somehow their application did come on in December of 2020, and it either ended up in the wrong email boxes, but it didn't come forward. So they are requesting that. We are looking at use. We do have funding available for the START program in our budget to accommodate this. So they've made the request for $3,500. So that as part of our policy, they're only allowed to come every 2 years. So what we're recommending is for 2021, we would approve it for 2021, but it's really for the 2020 program. And then we will most likely receive another one probably around December from them for the 2022.
So the money that we're giving them today is actually from the 2020
Request.
budget.
From the 2020 request.
Right, okay. Okay, any questions or comments on this one? If I could have the resolution then, please. I'm not seeing any hands go up.
Resolved, council approve the following 2021 requested grant budget, START program, $3,500.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, Councillor Horbis seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, I believe the next item on our agenda is the bylaws, and we do have one bylaw for first reading only today, and we've discussed this one, and we've made some changes to the amount of monies that prospective council members or those running for council can spend on their campaign expenses. So I don't know if we need to go over any of that. Anybody have any questions on it? Would you like to look at the bylaw, or are we just good to give it first reading? Good to go? Okay, go ahead and read the resolution.
Resolved bylaw 1 of 2022 being a bylaw that campaign expenses and contributions be given first reading.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarowicz, Councillor Strang seconds. Any questions or comments? Hearing or seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, so we are down to communications for information, and I will hand it over to Deepak to see if there's anything that he would like to share with us on the communications for information.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I have a few that I'd like to discuss. First one is Manitoba infrastructure. This is the provincial road. This is our building addition to our shops at Laconia shop. And as part of that, because we are in the highway control zone as well as our finance, we needed permissions from Manitoba Highways. And this is part of that approval, along with receiving, of course, approval from Red River Fire. The other one that I wanted to draw to your attention, and this is something I'm looking into, is first, I'll get into the Lake Winnipeg Basin Symposium. That was the new item that was added, and I'm just need to, I think, reload because I've lost connection to my AllNet. And with that, coming down to 9:10, the Lake Winnipeg Symposium is coming up, and what it is available virtually for any of those who are interested. There is no cost to this symposium, and so you can register, and the participants registration confirm your participation by January 14th. So I wanted to bring that to your attention as part of this. And so if any council members wish to attend this, there are 3 specific dates that it's set up for from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. as virtual sessions. The other one that I wanted to bring to your attention was the 39th. We did discuss the Red River Basin Commission Conference and the information. There was further information that was apparently sent to our info at RM St. Clements, but for some reason never got to myself or through there. I have to look further into it because I understand it was sent out to both our info at RM St. Clements, but also to some of the various councillors and the mayor. Those people were able to open it, but I, for some reason, never received it, and I don't see where it happened. So we're going to look further into it, see if there was a technical difficulty or for some reason it ended up on automatically being moved over to our junk mail from Info Winnipeg or Info RM St. Clements, because we've been receiving a lot of fizzing emails, and so there's been, as you've seen, enhanced security in our systems, and I'm wondering if that did something. But I'm exploring it further to make sure that we don't start losing important emails that are being sent to Info at RM St. Clements. And so the thing I wanted to draw to your attention on this, the conference has, as you know, already started. And there are opportunities, and there's information here on how to register and verify your email and then be able to go in a link and access the event. And so there are specific dates available on the event, and that's made available here for you.
Okay, any questions on the Red River Basin Commission?
I didn't get it on my email.
See, and I did.
So I don't know, this is just off topic. I don't know, do we have a tech person that maybe we can?
Yes, we'll be contacting Justin, who provides, who's a contract for doing all our IT support, as well as Scott, and see what's happening, why some of these emails are not going, or do we need to create a list? So I've been looking into it a little bit further since I discovered, in discussing with the executive director for the River Basin Commission, what's been going on, because they've been sending it off as a blanket email to everyone, so it should be fairly standard receiving. So I wonder if we need to create some sort of a list with our IT people saying, if emails are coming from these particular email type of addresses, that they shouldn't be considered junk. Because what it does is it tries to apply a level of what they call heuristics, and it just goes and applies some logic by some of the content of what's being said in the subject line, and turns them into spam. I know that there's been some emails I've even received from the mayor in the past that were identified as spam. Although it's, should be considered internal, but it wasn't seeing that because all council members are outside our domain. And so we have a domain for all the staff, and council sits outside that domain, and maybe something's happened in the security. But this is one of those things that we've been encountering where you're increasing the level of security to stop all this hacking at the same point as making it more difficult to get your work done. Just as if you've encountered, I don't know if it's happened on yours, but I can't even open Word or Adobe files that are being sent to me externally. I can open them, but I can't print them. So it won't let you print them until I save them onto our system. So there's that level of security that continues to be enhanced.
And I just had that problem with that other email that when I sent you that, I texted you about that information this
Right.
week, that I felt bad because then I didn't get the email on it. So later on, after you get that, maybe I get
I'll
somebody
share
to,
with everybody, yeah.
or to swipe my computer and get, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Spicer, do you have your hand up?
I do.
Go ahead.
So if we want to attend either of the last two things that the CAO just discussed, like are we registering individually or what's the process now?
Yes, Councillor, due to the timing, I'm recommending you can just register individually. There's no cost associated with either one, so I didn't think that they needed a resolution of council.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else have anything? Okay, I guess we are pretty much down to the council reports, but before we start that, I need to have a 5-minute break, please.
Recording stopped.